Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Conversations from Stritch. My name is Dave Livingston, president of Lewis University, and I'm really pleased to be joined today by Dr. Christopher Sant, our provost. It is wonderful to be with everyone, and especially as we wrap up this week, which is our final days of final exams and projects, and all the tests and projects and things that are happening on campus this week. As we'll talk about much more later, it's also been a great couple weeks of celebration of our employees, as we talked about last week, and celebration of our students in many ways, and as we move into commencement weekend. I did want to just mention a few things. The other thing that's been going on this week is that we have had our Board of Trustees meeting, which we had on Monday. And at that meeting, we did several things. One of the things was that we were able to, we had some challenging issues coming out of COVID, and just weren't sure how the year was going to go. So we were able to, as we wrap up this year, our fiscal year, which ends at the end of June, to be able to give our employees a 3% bonus, which we're really excited to be able to do for all of our full and half-time employees. The other thing that happened, every year we take some time to evaluate the applications of those faculty who are going up for promotion and tenure. And long process, but at the end of the day, it has to go before the Board of Trustees, and both Dr. Sant and myself are a part of that evaluation process, but we're really excited to be able to present those candidates to our Board of Trustees, because we just have amazing faculty, and it's an opportunity for our trustees to get to know them. And those tenure decisions and promotion decisions were made this week, and that will be out in University News coming out, all the names of all those faculty, but they've been notified about their status, so we're excited about that. Next week, we are moving into May Institute. So as all of our students move on from campus or get ready for summer school, depending on what is going on in their life, we also take some time as a community to think about pedagogy and new ideas. And so our faculty present to each other at May Institute some of the best ideas that they've been working on, new pedagogical techniques, new ideas around issues that impact our students and each other as colleagues. So we're excited about that. I just want to thank everyone who is planning and presenting at this year's May Institute for all the work that they did. And now we'll switch gears and go back to what has been for the last year and a couple months a weekly topic for us, which is COVID.
Thank you, President Livingston, and great to be with everyone today. And I am very much looking forward to the May Institute next week to hear about some great new ideas and innovations in teaching that our faculty are going to share with each other and in our community. I maybe have a couple of themes for COVID this week. I guess it is nearing the end of the semester. It's the end of finals week, and so we're beginning to take stock a little bit. And I guess I want to say that our community has just been amazing with successfully managing the COVID-19 virus activity this semester. We've had lower reported cases connected to our community than in our surrounding communities. We've had lower cases than we did in the fall, even during the winter surge that happened in February. Our cases were meaningful, but much lower than average in our surrounding areas. And we've had no reported cases all year traced to the classroom environment. Vast majority of our cases that we've managed, which has been a very significant undertaking, have really been traced to connections off campus and to the few on-campus activities cases we've had have been traced to social or extracurricular activities by our students primarily. Our students, faculty, and staff deserve so much recognition for keeping our community strong, healthy, and learning all semester long. And then the second thing I want to say is that our university continues to remain in discussion about the possibility of mandating COVID-19 vaccinations this fall semester. We'll continue to follow the guidance of our national, state, and county authorities, as well as align our decisions with advice from the American College Health Association and other organizations like the NCAA. At this time, we are strongly encouraging all individuals to get the COVID-19 vaccine when it is available to them. And I want to stress that it is available to you. It is, our website will, and again, I'll send an email today with links, but our website our Lewis website provides links to all of the available county and state resources for locating a vaccination site. Vaccinations are free, and it will be easy to access. I know we've done clinics on campus, and we will continue to do that over the summer for people who are in the local community or people who feel comfortable coming back to campus to get vaccinated. But it's also very likely to be available to you, even if you live out of state and are accessing resources from another community. They are readily available and free in most environments. So, and contact our COVID hotline team if you have any questions about how to go about accessing vaccinations. Regardless of our decision about mandating vaccines for the fall, students will be able to have a high-quality academic experience in the fall. We'll continue to provide various flexible course formats, including online options, to help all of our students achieve success. So I'm going to mention make a couple of announcements about athletics and then ask you to talk about news a little bit, President Livingston. We want to congratulate 4 of our women's softball players for making the all-GLVC team. Katie David, Kristen Kavalusakis, Olivia Magaldi, and Sarah Serena. This is the most all-conference softball players we've had at Lewis since 2013, so congratulations to all of those individual players. Congratulations to the whole team and to Coach Becky Pearl on a great season. We played this afternoon in the first round of the GLVC playoffs against McHenry. That game is at 4 o'clock. Our track and field team returned to the track today, competing at the GLVC Outdoor Track and Field Championships in Rolla, Missouri. And then finally, the 2 of us have the great privilege of leaving in a couple of hours to travel to Columbus, Ohio to cheer on our men's volleyball team, who will be competing in the Final Four of the NCAA National Volleyball Championships, taking on Brigham Young at 8 o'clock tonight. So congratulations to all of our athletes.
And I just want to, because I think this is the case, so 8 o'clock Eastern time, 7 o'clock here.
Thank you so much. You're
8
right.
o'clock
7
in
o'clock.
Columbus.
So if you're planning on watching from here, 7 o'clock, absolutely.
And you can find that on our website, the Lewis website under athletics. So I did want to say a few things about what's going on in our community and other news, but I did want to put a little underline, an exclamation point behind how many vaccines are available. I was talking to somebody at Silver Cross Hospital, and they said that their number of, they have hundreds of doses every day. They usually do about 1,000, but the last few days has been 150 people that have actually come in. So there are lots of slots, obviously not just at Silver Cross, but Joliet West, I know, is where Joan got her vaccine in the last couple weeks. There's just a lot of opportunities. So please, if you're kind of on the fence, go get your vaccine now, because it's easy to do, short lines, etc. Also wanted to just note, as I said, a few other things that are going on campus. Congratulations to Lewis's literary journal, Jet Fuel Review, which has released its 21st issue. The issue features a diverse array of artists and authors from around the country and the world. Thank you to all the student editors and to our faculty mentors, Simone Munch and Jackie White. There's also recently an essay by Dr. Jamil Mustafa, professor of our English Studies, in our English Studies Department and Director of Literature and Languages, has published an article about Shirley Jackson's novel, We Have Always Lived in the Castle, in American Imago, the leading scholarly journal in psychoanalysis. Dr. Lily Burciaga, Assistant Professor of Psychology and Clinical Mental Health Counseling, and one of our clinical mental health counseling students, Natalie Palm and Lauren Lewis, recorded a workshop for the Association for Child and Adolescent Counseling in Illinois, the spring 2021 virtual conference. The title of the workshop was Telemental Health Counseling with Traumatized Youth. Burciaga and the clinical mental health counseling student Savannah Rucker presented at the Spring Illinois Counseling Association Conference. Their presentation was titled Nature-Based Interventions for Military and Veteran Populations, Why They Work, and How to Develop Them. And I just want to say, this is amazing work. We just received a grant to do some telemedicine in another area, but I think all of us are aware, whether for ourselves or family members, how impactful telemedicine has become, and we're glad to have faculty who are doing research in this area, but also grants being written so that we can be a part of this move into telemedicine as another option for people in our community. Also want to note that the second edition of the text Introduction to Professional and Executive Coaching by Dr. Sheila Boyson, who's an associate professor of organizational leadership here at Lewis, has recently been published, and it's such a testament to faculty members when you get a second or third edition, because it means that your colleagues around the country or around the world are using your text in their classrooms, and that's why a publishing house wants to do a second edition. So congratulations to Dr. Boyson. So I'll turn it back over to you, Chris, for introducing our topic of the day and our guests.
Great, I'd love to. I would like to also, I really appreciate underline those congratulations to Dr. Boyson and Dr. Burciaga for that great work. And I also just want to say something really quickly. Dr. Mustafa's publication, this just happens to be in my field, and so I understand a little bit more than I usually do about our faculty accomplishments, and publishing an article in that journal is a huge deal. That is an extremely prestigious publication. So again, congratulations to Jamil for that accomplishment. So we're going to shift to the focus of the show now. We're turning our focus this week on the conclusion of the academic year, and especially a recognition of our graduates as they conclude their time as students at Lewis. So we've spent a lot of time over and with great pleasure attending numerous honors and recognition ceremonies over the past couple of weeks in the colleges and academic departments and in connection to the university mission and to athletics and many other things. It's been a wonderful collection of ceremonies that we're seeing some pictures of now here. These recognition events conclude tonight, and we will shift our attention to the weekend's activities, which are focused on both the baccalaureate mass and our virtual commencement. So to help us understand a bit more about these ceremonies, we would like to welcome Dr. Kurt Schackmuth, Vice President for Mission and Associate Provost for Student Success. Back to the show again. Welcome, Kurt. Great to see you.
Hi there. Good to see both of you.
So, Kurt, could you just maybe give a brief summary of what's going on this weekend and how we should expect to take it all in?
Yeah, so tomorrow night, Friday, May 7th, we have the graduate degree virtual ceremony that takes place at 7 p.m. And everyone who would like to be part of that can visit the Lewis U website, which you see on the screen right now. And you just click on one of those boxes that says join event, and you'll be taken right to the broadcast of the ceremony. Saturday morning at 10 a.m., that's May 8th, we'll have the baccalaureate mass. It's always a really important aspect of our commencement weekend. And there will be a live stream mass from the St. Charles Borromeo Center, Convocation Hall. We'll have some people there in attendance in person, a drastically reduced number compared to what we are accustomed to. But it'll be an opportunity to celebrate the Mass, to celebrate and really give thanks for the work of our graduates and all that they have accomplished during this very difficult year, but really across the entire spectrum of their years at Lewis. And then Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock, the undergraduate degree ceremony will be available, and Just like the other two events, you can visit the Lewis website and click on the box and join the event and get to celebrate with graduates all that they've accomplished this year. So it should be a great experience for our graduates. Not quite the usual experience that they're accustomed to here when we have our regular commencements on campus, but nevertheless, a nice opportunity for them to celebrate with their families.
So Kurt, could I just ask you, because I'm not sure, I think, well, I would say all of our graduates this weekend have been through a high school commencement ceremony. So they're all familiar with commencement. Not everybody's familiar with a baccalaureate mass. So, maybe you could just talk a little bit how, and this of course plays into commencement as well, but how rituals and what makes a baccalaureate mass different than other masses that they might go to on any given weekend? And how does ritual play into, the way we celebrate our graduates? Because in some sense, there's a holistic approach to how we ritualize the celebration of these amazing students.
Right. So yeah, the baccalaureate mass is at its core a mass like all the other masses that we have here at Lewis. But you're right, it is special, and that's because in the Catholic tradition, it's very important for us to integrate ritual and to use important symbols and other kinds of ways of celebrating and giving thanks and putting a focus on all the good things that are happening in our world. And so for the baccalaureate mass in particular, we focus on giving thanks to God for our students, and we celebrate in the Mass our graduates in particular and the families that have played a role in supporting those graduates during their time at Lewis. And so one of the things that you'll see as part of the setup for the baccalaureate Mass is banners along the back wall of the sanctuary that represent the colleges of the university, and that's designed to recall the fact that we are an academic institution and that these students have earned degrees and really worked hard to get to this point today. Another aspect, of course, of the Mass that is unique for the baccalaureate Mass is a special blessing that Father Dennis will offer to students and the families of the graduates at the end of Mass, kind of a sending forth. So the Mass itself is a way of celebrating, and it's also a way of kind of encouraging and sending forth the graduates into the world, and in very much a Lasallian tradition to say, hey, what you've done here at Lewis has been incredibly important, and we have confidence in your ability to take what you've learned and to put it to good use in the world, whether it's through your discipline, whether it's through the way that you carry yourselves in your personal life, it's the way that you live gospel values in your life. And so it's a very important kind of concluding opportunity to send students out into the world to make a difference that we know that they're going to make.
Thank you.
Kurt, could I ask you a question about the kind of putting together of the commencement event and the production of the recording? And I think I neglected to mention before that going to all these recognition events over the last couple of weeks, it's just been really noticeable and powerful how much work our staff and faculty in the colleges have put in, how much our events and conferences staff have devoted themselves to making these events as rich as they have been. And I also know that, and our production team behind the wall here and many others have been working really hard on simulcasting most of those events as well as recording them. And so I just thought from that whole spectrum of all the people that had to put work into the commencement videos, could you just talk a little bit about all the different elements of it?
And before you answer that, Kurt, could I just ask you to add on to that when all that planning starts? Because I think it's important to kind of set the context that all this work, when we do it in person or whether we do it virtually, it starts, 6 months, 9 months before the process. So maybe you could talk about the early stages and who works on that and give us an opportunity to thank them. And then as it culminates in this, the kind of final approach to the actual event, other people that get involved, that would be helpful.
Sure. So in a non-pandemic year, there are over a dozen departments and at minimum 100 different people that are involved in making a commencement weekend possible, not to mention vendors and other kinds of support personnel that are helping in any number of ways. And what this pandemic has forced us to do is to really pivot and to think differently about what it takes to make virtual commencement ceremonies possible. So we started thinking about May 21 commencement back in December of 2020. And we really had to make tentative decisions and then carefully monitor what was going on in the world, news that was coming from the state of Illinois, guidelines that were coming from the Will County Health Department, and decision making that was happening within the university to determine which path we would take in terms of whether we could do things in person or virtual. We really started very deliberate and careful planning back in January and set a goal for ourselves of mid-February to make the decision about what would happen this May. And that's because it takes all of those people I've just mentioned and those dozens of departments a lot of time to put all the various different pieces in place to make it possible for a ceremony to take place, whether that's in person or virtual. And the virtual nature of this is complex. It's just as complex as an event in person on the campus. And so we had regular meetings of the Commencement Coordinating Committee. This is a group of people from those 12 different offices or so that are absolutely dedicated to putting together the best possible experience for our students during commencement weekend. And they are incredibly creative, very, very hardworking, and very committed to students. And so we came together, we did a lot of brainstorming. We tried to learn from what worked well for us back in the fall of 2020 to see how we could make improvements for this year. And then we put some timelines and some project lists in motion, and lots of work went into this. When we do a virtual ceremony, it requires a lot of coordination with the registrar's office. So I can't say enough good stuff about all the work that Claire Temmerman and her team and Gil Martinez have been putting into the virtual ceremonies. Over 1,000 students are graduating, and that's 1,000 elements of student data that need to be carefully organized and choreographed. Lots and lots of communication with those students. And I think the real heroes in many ways with regard to these virtual ceremonies is the work that John Kilpatrick and Joe Glatz and John Carey and so many other students who are also involved behind the scenes there in their department, all the work that they're doing to film. So we had to start filming for our virtual ceremonies a couple of months ago. Lots and lots of editing that goes into filming and choreographing scripts and making sure that we're lining up people and getting them in the right place in order to film things in the right sequence. We're producing an actual program book for commencement. So graduates who came to our drive-up events were able to pick up a hard copy program book. And so the work that goes into this by Ann Coliff and so many others in marketing communications, that all has to be choreographed and worked out in advance. And so, it's very complex. It requires a lot of organization and a lot of goodwill on the part of many people who are willing to be flexible, to work really hard, and to remember that we're all doing this for our students to make the best possible experience for them. And I always say it's like making lemonade out of lemons, especially in this pandemic year. What are the different things we can do to make the experience as good as possible, given the limitations and the restrictions that we're working with? So lots and lots of good work by many people last few months.
That's great, Kurt. So we are excited to meet our next guest.
One of those 1,000
One
students.
of those 1,000 students. But I also, maybe before, and I'll just ask you to introduce her when you're ready, but maybe before that, could you just talk a little bit about what are the awards or student speakers that typically take place at commencement and are part of this year's commencement as well? And then maybe you could introduce our guest.
It's really important to incorporate students into our ceremonies. And so will oftentimes invite students, both for the undergraduate and graduate degree ceremonies, to offer the opening prayer, for example, the invocation. But we also recognize students in particular ways. And so Caitlin Shanahan, for example, will be presenting the Student LaSallian Commencement Address on Saturday afternoon. And she's just done a really wonderful job of talking about her experience here at Lewis as someone who was very active in her discipline in the sciences, as she was very active as a soccer player, and she was also very active in university ministry. And she kind of paints a picture of the way that those experiences combined with our LaSallian mission have had an impact on her experience. So you'll want to for sure see her LaSallian address. But we also honor a student at the undergraduate degree ceremony with the Father Aquinas Colgan Award. And this is an award that is incredibly significant because it's the oldest award that we've bestowed here at Lewis to a student. So we've been awarding this award every year for 65 years, and it's named for Father Aquinas Colgan. And in the late 1930s, he was the chaplain here at Lewis University. Back then, we were Lewis Holy Named School of Aeronautics. But he was the chaplain, and when World War II occurred, he left Lewis as the chaplain and went and became a chaplain in World War II. And the same care and attention that he provided to students here at Lewis Holy Name School of Aeronautics, he paid that same attention to soldiers, especially their spiritual lives on the battlefield. And he was killed in battle. And so to remember Father Aquinas, to memorialize him and the impact that he had on students, a decision was made to create the Father Aquinas Colgan Award. And so Nayeli Barajas, who is with us today, is the recipient of this year's Father Aquinas Colgan Award. There she is. And this award is all about the transformation that a student undergoes here at the university. And we all know that we enter college in one way and we leave it in a completely different way. It transforms us, it changes our lives. And in many cases, it sends us out into the world in a completely different way. And this award recognizes students for the kinds of transformations that they've experienced as students, as undergrads. And so Nayeli is one of those students who was nominated by other faculty and staff, and she was asked to write an essay, and she was asked to participate in interviews and have conversations with others about her experiences at Lewis. And so we're really excited this year to recognize Nayeli with this really prestigious award, and we do it at commencement. And so that's why you saw her photo there. She visited us a couple of weeks ago out at the encounter with her award, had her photo taken with the president. And it's really a great moment for us to lift up one of our students who's really been changed as a student here at the university.
Well, Nayeli, welcome and congratulations, not only on commencement, but on this amazing award, and appreciate, I think for me, I've heard this story many times, but also just to hear Dr. Schackmuth tell again the power of a life and the way in which it can be memorialized. So, Nayeli, maybe you could tell us a little bit about a little bit of your background, but then kind of what brought you to Lewis, and as Kurt was just saying, what that journey at Lewis has been like for you.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. So I am a first generation Mexican American student. I am majoring in aviation administration with a minor in aircraft dispatch. And I'm honored to have received the Father Aquinas Colgan Award. It's been a journey these past 4 years at Lewis. There has been a lot of struggles and obstacles that I've had to overcome and I've faced, and especially with my freshman year. And I think that I was blessed to have been at Lewis University and to have those faculty and staff willing to provide their time and to help all their students succeed. And the university provides so many resources for us, and we just have to be willing to ask for help, take that first step, and just to work really hard to get to where we want to go.
Yeah, so
Reach our-
Nayeli, tell me a little bit about just that kind of how you heard about Lewis, and if you knew that you wanted to be in aviation as a like 16 or 17-year-old, or you were exposed to Lewis, and then once you were here, you kind of were like, wow, there's an airplane sitting over there. I wonder what's going on over there. So just give me a little sense of that, as you say, that transition maybe from being a high school senior to being a first-year student at Lewis, and kind of when you knew what you wanted to do and what that was like for you.
Yes, so I had actually been to Lewis twice before. I attended a Si Se Puede conference a couple years back. So I had the privilege to come visit the university and to walk around and view the campus. And then I also ran cross country back at high school, and we got to come over here and view the meets here. So I saw that other part of campus. I actually did not know that as a woman growing up, or I'd never heard of aviation as a career. Never crossed my mind. I loved airplanes, but I didn't think that that was something that I could personally go for until I attended Lewis University. And yeah, I did. I saw the airplanes flying by, all the 172s, and I was like, wow, like there's really students in those planes. It was just kind of a crazy idea to me. I got to speak to aviation faculty, learn more about the programs, and that's how I got into aviation. I've absolutely loved it. I've learned so much. I've grown so much, and I'm really excited to go out into the world after Lewis has prepared me, and just kind of use what I've learned, continue to learn, and succeed and help people in the industry.
It's awesome.
That's great. And we're going to ask you about going out into the world in a minute, I'm sure. But could you just maybe talk a little bit more about the Si Se Puede? Like I think that we didn't know that. I didn't know that that's how you heard about us. So for people watching that don't know about that, could you talk a little bit about how you came to be a part of that, and because there might be people watching that might want to do it too.
I was in middle school when I attended, probably like 7th or 8th grade. But really, it's just an opportunity to learn as a, I guess, kind of with a Hispanic background, that there are opportunities out there and that we can succeed. And there are a lot of options, which at sometimes it can feel like there are just so many obstacles that are keeping us from the opportunities that everyone else has. So it's just a program that I believe the cultural offices here at the university have been working on. I'm not sure if they had one because of COVID, but I know they've had that for many years. They've held a conference here, and it's a wonderful experience, really.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, traditionally it's a couple-day event here on campus for, Latinx students in particular, or other students from communities that don't always are first generation or don't always have knowledge about what university life is like, and it's really it's a summer program where students can come in and get a little sense of what it's like. We did do it virtually, I think last 2 years now, in a smaller scale, and we look forward to doing it back on our campus next summer. Could you just maybe talk a little bit about some of the activities, or, in addition, maybe more about aviation or other activities or clubs or things like that on campus that you took advantage of or enjoyed being a part of?
Yeah, so a lot of my classmates say that I struggle to say no. A lot of the time I participated in a lot of different things on campus. I was very involved with university ministry right from the start. I had a privilege of going on a mission trip to the Philippines my freshman year. I've done a lot of soul community service events. I've participated on Catalyst retreat, on all the retreats that ministry has to offer, which really provides a lot of perspective as I get to travel to different places, not like only like not in the country in the other side of the world, but also here in our communities, which I think is really important. I've also participated in different organizations through the aviation department. So I am on the, well, I'm graduating, but yes, I have been on Women in Aviation, which has opportunities there. I attended the Women Aviation Conference last year, which was amazing. And I've also am a part of Alpha Eta Rho, International Aviation Fraternity on campus. I also am part of CRS and ambassadors and best buddies. I've been very involved. Honestly, I don't think that people realize that there are this many organizations on campus and so many things to offer. And I know this past year has made it a little bit more difficult, but everyone has been doing an amazing job just keeping all the organizations active and going over to virtual events and providing experience still for everyone.
That's really great to hear. So, tell me about what is next. You talked about looking forward to the next opportunities. What comes after graduation? Are you going to stay in the Chicago metro area? Are you going somewhere else? What kind of career path, and maybe what you know now, and maybe what you hope for in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yes. So after graduation, I will be starting work at Vertiport, which is a heliport in Chicago. So I will be staying in the area. I do live in Chicago. And then I will also be looking for a master's program that I think going into the business side of things to further my administration major would be the best option. Still continuing with that concentration in aviation as well.
So for people that don't know, can you explain what a heliport is? I mean, because some people on here are like, is that some like Meet George Jetson thing for those people that are my age, or like what is that?
It's an airport, but for helicopters, so it's kind of combinations heliport. So they do provide like tours of the city. It's a refueling services, and it's just a like pit stop for helicopters. I guess you can put in short words.
And you said it's downtown, so in the city.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. And so it sounds to me, and this is where this Father Aquinas Award comes in. As you talked, I just was so kind of taken with the possibilities that come with a college education. You walked in not really knowing that you wanted to be in aviation, and now you're going to be working in administration at a teleport in the city that you spent your childhood in, but now as a professional. So that kind of, and maybe I could ask you to, if you can imagine the young woman who is now today in that as a 6th or 7th grader going to a Si Se Puede conference, for instance, kind of what might you tell her in terms of what you've learned about what higher ed offers to somebody?
Yeah, I think I'd tell her a couple of things, but it would definitely be along the lines of just don't give up, keep working hard, take every opportunity that comes to you. There's a lot to gain from that: knowledge, experience, perspective, and also to just share what you've experienced with others so that you can help them on their journey as well. There's a lot of things that it seems like are not part of open conversation, and I think that they should be, because all those mistakes or struggles that you go through, they can help someone else to kind of alleviate what they have to go through and help them be on the right path. or just to learn of what's out there as well. So I think that's what I would tell sixth grade me. Honestly, looking back
Yeah.
at
You're such an ambassador. I
today.
mean, I love this. I love talking to you. I feel like I could talk to you for several more hours. Unfortunately, at some point we have to wrap up the
Yeah.
show, but it's just really, it's no wonder that you're receiving this award, to be very honest. And, you know, congratulations again.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's just been such a pleasure to speak with you. It's a real inspiration to hear your perspective on things, and your story is amazing. Kurt, do you have any final comments or anything you'd like to ask before we move on?
You know, I would just like to say that this is what it's about. And I really appreciated what you said, Dr. Livingston. Nayeli is what we are about. We invite students to come to Lewis to explore their passion and their interests. We hope that that passion and interest develops into an interest in a career. And I sense already that Nayeli is going to go and she's going to take what she's learned. She's talked about, you know, working on a master's degree. So there's a sense of lifelong learning that's been instilled in her. And, you know, based on the work she's done in university ministry, we know that she's going to give back. And I could see her speaking to 6th and 7th grade girls at a future CC Poetic conference to tell them what is possible. So I would just add my own congratulations and say, Nayeli, this is what we are about. This is why those of us at Lewis do what we do, because we get to see the transformation that you've experienced and so many other students. So congratulations on your graduation, and we hope to see you back on campus in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and again, congratulations, Nayeli. Don't forget, I know lots of opportunities out there, but there is a frequent flyer discount for graduate school if you graduate with a Lewis degree. I always got to be a salesperson. I would agree with Kurt. We would love to, I hope you'll stay connected to our alumni office, because I think you're one of those people that, you know, we're always looking for our alumni to be able to come back and speak to prospective students, speak to board members, and explain to them, you know, what is a Lewis degree and why does it matter and how is it different and unique, as Dr. Schackmuth already mentioned. So thank you both for joining us on this show. To you, Nayeli, I hope you and your family have a wonderful commencement weekend. Kurt, thank you, and everyone, as you say, the dozens and dozens, hundreds of people who have been involved in preparing this commencement weekend. Thank you to you and everyone involved. Enjoy the weekend. We really are grateful for you joining us on the show. So as I wrap up, and we wrap up this year, I just wanted to say to people, I guess, a few quick things. Again, congratulations to everyone who's receiving their degree. Good luck to our faculty who are in the midst of grading. I know we have one more day of finals, but good luck to our students who are taking their last finals. Be safe as you drive or fly home. Good luck to our Flyers, both in softball and in men's volleyball tonight. And I want to say Happy Mother's Day to my mother. Sometimes she's watching. And to all the mothers out there, you know, I hope you have a wonderful day and that you are able to celebrate with people you love, hopefully your children, but we just want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. Enjoy the weekend, everyone, and we will see you next week. Many blessings to you and your loved ones.